Hello and welcome to the Sherry Nelson Show. I'm your host, Sherry Nelson. Every week we are going to focus on current events, hot topics, and we're going to have special guests that are going to share their success stories. So follow us. Make sure you subscribe and hit that button. Welcome to the Sherry Nelson Show. We have a special guest in the house, Lisa Glover-Gardin. She is a PayPal attorney, a speaker, thinker, and someone I call a friend.
Thank you. That's very sweet. I'm so happy to be here.
It's a pleasure having you. Just so you can know the many things that Lisa has accomplished, Lisa is presently an attorney, a senior director at PayPal. She is also head of global privacy legal team. Previously, she was managing senior counsel at Google for 8 years, and her focus has been on privacy and protection of people for big corporations. Would you say, Lisa, that you've lived a pizzazz life?
No. No, I've lived a good life. I don't know about pizzazz, but I've lived a good life. I enjoy what I do.
Well, you're married, you have 2 kids, plus you have a professional career as an attorney. How have you learned to balance all of that?
It's a challenge. It's a challenge balancing. And yeah, you do learn it over time. Nobody, you have in your mind that you'll be able to balance it because you want it all and you feel you should have it. And then it's just many nights of stress before you realize that some things you just have to let go. And the house isn't always going to be clean. You're not always going to write the best whatever, brief letter, whatever it is. And your kids sometimes are not going to be happy with you. And you just roll with it.
Well, let's start at the beginning. Where did you grow up?
Many different places. So I was born in Los Angeles and lived in LA for a year and then moved to Brooklyn, lived in Brooklyn for a couple years. My father and brother left Brooklyn and went to Nigeria and to Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana to start a business, an air conditioning engineering business. It was the 70s, and then came back because it didn't work out. And then my parents moved us all back to LA, and then thought, well, let's get out of the country again because of the political situation in the United States. And we moved to Spain and lived in Madrid for a year, then back to New York, lived in Long Island, and then moved to California, and then Jamaica in the Peace Corps.
Oh, wow.
For 2 years, and then back to California.
Wow.
And that's when I hopped off that merry-go-round.
So you traveled extensively.
A lot, yes.
So what was growing up like? Were you a quiet child or were you outgoing?
Well, since you knew me as a child, Sherry, you could answer that one. Yeah, I'm still a quiet person. Yeah. I like spending time by myself and with friends, but I am comfortable sort of, being with me because I've been so many different places where this is what was there. It was me there, and all of those different places I lived in. So I'm very comfortable with that.
I can tell a short story. I remember when we were in junior high, and I came over to your house. You guys had just moved into Altadena, and I went and knocked on the door, and I asked you, I said, Lisa, do you want to go swimming or up to the park? And then you said, I think I'd rather read. And I said, oh.
I wouldn't say it like that, Sherry.
You said, I think I'd rather stay in the house and
I'm
read.
doing my nails.
But you know what? That just shows that you started early being very focused. Being focused and knowing what you wanted to do. And I thought that was amazing, how focused you were at such a young age.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
So you're the oldest of your siblings?
No, youngest.
Oh, you're the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell us, how many siblings do you have?
Just one, my brother Robert.
Oh, okay.
And my brother passed away 2 years ago, but
Mm.
he was a year older than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was sad. I give your condolence to your
Yeah,
family.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was very sudden. But yeah, it was just me and my brother. You know, we call him Bobby, but it was me and Bobby, and that was it. You know, wherever we went, it was me and Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
And Bobby was like a force of nature. I mean, he just had the biggest personality. Yeah, wonderful.
I remember we called him Robert, and
Mm-hmm.
Robert was my brother's best friend, and
Mm-hmm.
so I saw a lot of Robert.
I'm sure you did,
Yes, yes,
whether you wanted to or not.
right. Yeah,
Ah,
Robert was a lot of fun.
he
I
was. Oh
miss
my
him.
gosh.
He came to a lot of our family functions
Yep.
and so
He
forth.
considered your mother a second mom.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, everywhere Bobby went, people knew you may or may not like him, but you knew
Mm-hmm.
he was there, you
Right.
know, and it's like everybody had like a strong reaction. And I think a testament to that was when he passed, that so many, it
Mm-hmm.
was just overflow. It was over 400 people at his funeral, just going to say goodbye.
One of the memories I have of Robert was he gave the best hugs. Whenever he
Yeah.
saw me, even though he had to get on his tippy toes, he always gave the best
I
hugs. I said,
know,
he's
I
so
know.
sweet. He was
That's
such a
right.
sweet man.
Yeah.
Um, Regarding your parents, what kind of work did your parents do when you were growing up?
My father is or was an engineer, and my mother was a teacher. And so when they came through, they met in Brooklyn. My father was working as an orderly at Brooklyn Hospital, and my mother was
Mm-hmm.
working as a secretary. And he had never gone to college. My mother had gone to like a year and a half, and then dropped out for health reasons. Um, and she was going to school in Nebraska. She was going to college in Nebraska. So she was the only
What?
black person. That's cool. But that was way back in the 50s or something. So
Wow.
they met, and they were just two people who had a similar sort of mindset that
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to live outside this country. And you have to take this as people who were born in the 30s in this country, who did not have our life experience. No matter,
Right.
yes, absolutely, there's racism, very much so in this country. But
Mm-hmm.
imagine it back in the 30s, right?
Right.
And so these people who grew up in the 30s in Brooklyn decided that they did not want to live in this country
Hmm.
and wanted to see the rest of the world, which I think is just
Oh.
like an amazing, you know, sense of your own like self and mission to have that thought back
Mm-hmm.
then. And so it was just fortunate the two of them met. And so we're constantly leaving, coming back, and leaving the country, trying to make it stick.
What a beautiful love story.
Yeah. So
Uh,
then, my mom goes back to school. She gets her degree. She becomes a teacher. And my dad was a journeyman engineer, and he was a civil engineer and electrical engineer. And yeah, that's what they did.
Since your parents were so professional, did you feel any pressure to have to be successful at a young age? Did you know that you wanted to go to college?
Yes.
Uh huh.
There
Mm-hmm.
was never I never thought I would not go to college, because
Oh.
unlike you, who had a skill, I had, I had no skill. I cannot play ball. I cannot sing. I can't dance. It is just like, what am I gonna do? But I could read.
Yes.
So
Uh-huh.
yeah. So I knew I was gonna go to school. Yes.
How did your parents transform your life? What type of impact did they have on you in a positive way?
Oh, I mean, there's so many ways. But I mean, the thing that's I think stands out the most is that sense of no limits.
Mm. Mm.
So it is just like, okay, if that's what you set your mind to, there's no reason you can't do it.
Mm.
And it was like almost the expectation that you would do it. So, yeah.
So you believed in yourself early. You weren't afraid to take risks.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm not afraid to take risks,
Mm-hmm.
but I understand that life is movement.
Mm.
And so you're not just sitting.
Mm-hmm.
You have to I like to I like to have my head on a swivel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I never thought I would, who thought about privacy law way back when? I never planned to be a privacy lawyer. There wasn't such a thing when I went to law school. But it's like you have to keep your eyes open, look for different adventures and different opportunities to have a meaningful life. So, and whatever that is for that person.
When did you start dreaming of becoming an attorney? At what age did you?
Mm, I was already in my 20s.
Oh.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I didn't grow up thinking I wanted to be an attorney. I didn't really have an idea what I wanted to be. I had 4 or 5 majors in college. And the reason that I graduated with a degree in economics is my parents told me if I didn't graduate by the end of that next semester, they gave me 4.5 years.
Okay.
And they said if I didn't graduate, I would have to pay my own way through college. And that was motivation. And I had most
Right.
units to graduate in economics. And yeah. And do I like economics? No. But I knew I needed a degree because I knew I was going to go to grad school. I imagine I would be in school all my life because I loved it until the end of the semester.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
When the papers are due and the test and everything,
Right.
and it's like you're going to the board to see what how you did. But I just loved that chill, like sitting on the grass and going to the dances, and yeah.
You enjoyed learning.
I
Sounds
did
like it.
pledging, all of that stuff. Z-Phi.
Oh, okay. That's your sorority.
Yes, Theta Phi
Hey.
Beta Sorority Incorporated.
What was your schooling process? What was it like? What university did you go to?
I went to San Francisco State.
Okay.
I started off actually at Pasadena City College because you probably remember I didn't finish high school.
Oh.
So I decided I wanted to go to college. I didn't want to bother finish the high school part
Oh, okay.
because I had done all of my college prereqs for the UCCSU system.
Mhm.
And back in the day, you didn't have to take the SAT if your GPA was a certain amount. And so my
Oh.
GPA was, and I'd done all of the math and the language and all of that. So, I'm just sitting there going, do I want to just stay here? And
Mhm.
so I found out about the California Proficiency Exam
Okay.
and went to the counseling office the day I found out about it. And the counselor told me, oh, you don't want to do that. You want to stay in high school. And I was like, yeah, just give me the information.
You're on a totally different path,
Yeah, it's,
right?
it's like time's a wasted. So, yeah, so I registered for it and took it and I passed it. But I was too young because I was 15 when I took it. So, so at 16, when I had finished 10th grade in Pasadena High School,
Mhm.
I was too young to go anywhere. And by the time I found out I passed the test, it was too late to apply. And so I went to PCC for a year
Mhm.
and then transferred to San Francisco State and finished up within my 4.5 years. And yeah, then I worked for a little bit after I graduated in economics. So I worked at a bank.
Oh.
Did not like it.
Did not like working at the bank.
No, I did not like this particular bank or job. It was
Oh.
on Wilshire. It was Bank of Boston,
Mhm.
First National Bank of Boston. And so I did that for a year,
Mhm.
and then I left the country.
Oh, and then you left.
I left. So I
Okay.
went to the Virgin Islands for about 6 months,
Mhm.
and then I moved to Copenhagen to Denmark for 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
And then it was time to come back,
Uh-huh.
just for personal reasons. And I came back to San Francisco. And my college roommate, who's also my sorority sister, she had an apartment and a roommate in San Francisco.
So when did you take the bar?
I hadn't even gone to law school.
Oh, you hadn't gotten
No,
to that
no.
point. Okay.
I also have an MBA. So I thought, well, maybe I want to get an MBA. Maybe I didn't like working in financial industry because it was too junior of a level and, not enough autonomy or interesting work. So I went back and got a MBA, went back to state and got an MBA. And but before that, I met my husband, who's now my husband. Met him, some kind of a meet cute. I just come back from Denmark, and I met him at the elevator.
In the elevator. Oh, wow.
And he was on a business trip, and lived in D.C. And I, of course, was living with my roommate, Renita. And because he was in a suit, and he is a black man in a suit, and I knew he did not work in this office because I think I knew all of them.
Right.
So it was just like, you don't work here. He's like, yeah, I do. But it turns out he worked for the same company in D.C.
Oh, okay.
So he was out on a week-long trip or something. So we met and stayed in touch, and then he ended up moving out to California, and he's been out ever since. So, but
love at first sight. It sounds like it.
I was hungry, and he had an expense account.
Oh, really?
I was eating ramen. When you eating ramen,
that always helps.
Then I got the MBA and started working in Wells Fargo's management training program. And then I realized, no, it's not the fact that I didn't have a graduate degree before. It's just that banking is really boring. It's just boring.
You said it's not for you,
boring.
right?
Oh, my God. It just, shoot me now. It was just bad. So, so then I thought, okay, well, it's been kind of in the back of my head. Let me study for the LSAT and apply. And I did. And so I ended up starting maybe a year later. Yeah, it was a year later at Santa Clara University. Go Broncos. Oh. And that's it. Then I went back and got married along the way. Had my daughter at the end of my first. It was just very busy. It was just like, oh my goodness, bad planning. But had my daughter Cara, but the end of my first year.
Oh, wow.
So I have a picture of us at my graduation, and she's this cute little, ruffle dress. It's like, oh my goodness.
Oh,
yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you presently are working at PayPal.
Yes.
Tell us about PayPal. How does it work? A lot of people don't really understand how PayPal works. How does it work?
Oh, well, there are many product lines, but you probably interface most with the branded service. So if you are going onto a retail site online and you want to pay, and you can start a PayPal account. You can link a credit card or your bank account to it, a checking account, and then you always have that funding source. So you're on, say, the Gap. You wish to pay, you see that PayPal button. You know you have a PayPal account, and you can just hit that. And so you don't have to have your card with you in your possession to read out the numbers and all of that. You pay. It's a safe way to pay. It's end-to-end encrypted transfer, so it's not like you reading a number to someone over the phone or typing it in an unsecure way where somebody can get access to your payment account number and use it to buy whatever. It's a safe way to pay online. And most of the merchants in this country have some way of processing electronic payments that are other than their own store cards. And PayPal is a leader in that space.
Yeah, I know a little bit about PayPal. I know that it's, like you said, safe way to send money and to
Mm-hmm.
pay for different
Venmo,
transactions.
exactly. We can, if we share a cab or something like that, and say one of us pays and another can just send money by Venmo to another person, so you can go cashless and still have access to money and have a record of it as well, which is nice to have. Another thing is that many of your purchases are also protected against fraud or damage in a way that is not with cash. So there's an advantage in paying with an electronic wallet.
I know when I'm paying for some, if I see PayPal, I usually choose them because I
Hmm.
feel pretty safe
Right,
that they're going to keep my information safe. It's not going to be all out there.
right.
So that's one thing I do love about that company.
Yeah, yeah. It's I and PayPal does respect users' privacy. Everybody says that, but I mean, we do go out of our way to make sure that data is protected and used in a way that you would expect it to be used when you're purchasing something and sharing your data with a company.
How does a company benefit from using PayPal, a small business?
Oh, it's tremendously beneficial for small and medium businesses
Hmm.
because you have a payment processor. It's very difficult for small companies to become what's called PCI certified. Payment Card Industry Data Security Standards is a standard for processing electronic payments, credit card.
Hmm.
And so if you're a small, Sherry's Flowers or something,
Hmm.
you're not going to have the ability to be PCI certified. So, but you might want to take credit card payments or
Right.
electronic payments.
Hmm.
So, working with a company like PayPal, you leverage their PCI status.
Hmm.
And you can use them in a way that people know because you can see the button that says PayPal, or in a
Right.
way
Uh-huh.
in which it's not branded, which
Hmm.
is called White Glove or
Hmm.
Braintree, where you might say it's Sherry's Payments,
Hmm.
but behind the scenes, it's PayPal that's processing the payment.
Hmm.
So you don't have to worry about the actual processing, the risk of fraud, or going through the ID verification process for your customers. PayPal does all of that for you, and the user just thinks, "Well, I'm buying something from Sherry's Flowers." So it's a very convenient service, in particular for small and medium businesses. Of course, large businesses have lots of different options that they offer for convenience
Hmm.
because they have so many users, and users are loyal typically to certain types of payment. They offer many options.
Now you used to work for Google
Right.
for 8 years.
Yeah.
Was that a big change, or were you in the same avenue?
Oh, it similar. So privacy law, yes, but a different aspect. It was third-party data protection.
Hmm.
So as you know, Google is a very big steward of data
Hmm.
and relies on many third parties to either perform services on its behalf or in partnership,
Hmm.
joint
Right.
marketing or promotion of certain products and services. And all of that's considered third party.
Oh,
So when personal information is shared with these third parties, there are certain standards that need to be in place to ensure the ongoing confidentiality, integrity, availability of the data. So that's what I did at Google, is really looking at, well, what are the legal issues involved with sharing? Can we share this data? Should we share this data?
okay.
And after we do, well, what do we do about it? What's the accountability
Oh.
obligation?
Oh, wow, wow. You had a big job.
It's interesting.
Switching gears regarding working for organizations in the community, what have you done?
Oh, well, I am very active in disability rights, or the rights of persons with disabilities. My son Christopher
Hmm.
has cerebral palsy, so my husband and I have been involved with United Cerebral Palsy. He's the board chair for UCP of the Golden Gate,
Oh.
which is the chapter for San Francisco and Oakland.
Hmm.
And I have been on the board of the Girl Scouts for about 6 years, and was very much interested in helping to increase the diversity of the Girl Scouts as part of their mission for the San Francisco chapter of the Girl Scouts. I got involved because my daughter was a Girl Scout, and I could see there's not a lot of diversity there, and it's a wonderful organization. So I got onto the board, and we started in, I think, my third year on the board. We started the Camp CEO.
Oh.
And it is an opportunity for girls, and we went out of our way to have always diverse cohorts.
Oh.
And so to bring these girls up into, oh gosh, I forget the name of the city, but it's way up in the hills. Bring them out of town. It's an adventure property, so the Girl Scouts own it. And to have a cohort of women that are CEOs, or that are either CEOs or senior leaders in whatever profession, and we also look to have a very diverse group there, and to bring them together. And so we spent like 4 days walking on tight ropes up in the trees and sliding down things, doing archery, and just getting to know the girls. And so that's continued. It still continues as a summer camp. And I did it twice. It was a lot of fun. I'm also on the board of the Hayward Area Recreational District's trustee board, where we fund parks and recreation for local kids, including scholarships for summer camps. I've been on the board for the last 2 years, and was previously for 9 years a trustee for the Hayward Unified School District, which was very important for me to know the principals and the superintendent, and have them know me, because my son is a person with disabilities.
Oh, that's
and
beautiful.
Often children with disabilities are overlooked.
That's true.
In fact, his class, I mean, having the benefit of both being a trustee for the school district and my son in public school, you can see what's going on. And when you see that other non or typical kids' classes all have multiple field trips a year. And I was, at first I was thinking, oh, I can't wait until Christopher's class gets a field trip. And it didn't happen. And the whole semester went by, and I would see, the buses, you see them, and you see kids getting on, and they're going someplace fun. And my son never got on one.
It just made you be more
it made me mad.
active.
Oh, it made me
in
mad.
School. Yeah, I know. I
and it's
would be
like, then
mad too.
you
want
fight
them
for
to
that.
get the same benefits as any other student.
And if you're not there and you're not being the squeaky wheel, it wouldn't happen.
Wow. So it sounds like you've done a lot in the school district. You've done a lot in the community, and that's beautiful how you've given back to the community.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Now it's time for Hot Topics.
Okay.
So we have Tasha K, that was a blogger that was recently sued by Cardi B and won the case. Cardi B won $3.8 million in this lawsuit.
Okay.
Basically, it was for a defamation of character. Tasha K was saying a lot of things that she knew was not true about Cardi B, and Cardi B sued her. And after 4 years, she actually won. And I just wanted to get your take on that. How did you feel about that happening?
I have to say, I do not know anything about that case.
Okay.
So,
okay.
But good Cardi B.
Yeah, I just think that if somebody's saying something that they know is not true, then then you should be penalized. Especially if you're hurting someone.
If you know it's not true.
Right. And that was the situation. They found out that she knew. She even said in court she knew it wasn't true, and she was still saying that. So,
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, all right. We have Lisa Glover-Gardin. It was great having you on the show. It's the Sherry Nelson Show. This is the Sherry Nelson Show. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe so you can watch more videos like this one every week.